Welcome back. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted people in very different ways. And in some ways, for some people, that can include their body image. Our next guest is here to speak out about why our self confidence may have changed and how we can all work to improve our own body positivity. So, welcome to the show, the co founder of Body Confidence Canada, Aisha Fairclough. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Aisha, we've talked on the show before about how the last 6 months have really impacted people and taken a big toll for many on their mental health. And that does include our self image. So, how do you see this pandemic impacting the way that we see our bodies?
Well, COVID-19 has definitely it has changed the world. It's disproportionately affected women and people of color. And what it's really done for us is that it's changed our routine. It has disrupted what we do on a everyday basis. And what we've really done is we've felt like we've lost our autonomy. So we're hyper focusing on our body now because we feel like it's the one thing that we can control. Ultimately what we're looking for is safety and security. And then also with our bodies, we just have this feeling of distrust. Is a cough? Is a sneeze? And COVID-19 had forced us to look at the fragility of our body. And really now we are really grappling and are with our mortality.
What's interesting when you say that is that it feels like there's a little bit of whiplash going on. On the one hand, we're just like, okay, maybe we're down about the way we're feeling. We're not keeping up with the way we were with our bodies before. And on the other hand, you're grateful that, knock on wood, you're not sick and your body's getting you through this. So, you're kind of back and forth. It's this ping pong game every day. So how do we deal with those conflicting feelings when it comes to our own bodies?
Well, we have to remember that yes, COVID-19 is here, but we still live in a fat phobic world. It is still it's a thin centered world. So, those conflicting ideas haven't changed. We are still bombarded by all these images and all these thoughts of if you are thin, it is the only way that it needs to be. And it is totally okay to be conflicted. It's okay to be up and down sometimes. We're not always going to love our body. But really, what we need to do is come to a place where we can start to build a positive relationship with our bodies.
Do you feel like there's a sense of weightism surrounding COVID-19?
Oh, there's definitely a sense of weightism. There was a tweet that went out by a doctor, in fact, that he said that if somebody had a BMI over 25, then he wasn't going to give them a ventilator. That's weightism. What that says is that if you have a fat body, a larger body, that you don't deserve the same type of care that anybody else does. There's many fat people before COVID and during COVID that are afraid to go to the doctors because the doctor will literally just look at them based on their size and give them care or misdiagnose. It really does say that we live in a body-hating society. Not all doctors, some doctors are taking a health at every size approach, and that's kind of what we need to do to move forward.
So, we've switched out the face-to-face interactions for digital ones, whether it's, video conferencing for work, or maybe even taking in more social media than usual as different ways to stay connected. What is that doing to our self-image and our body positivity?
Well, I tell you, it takes a while to get used to always have to stare at yourself at the screen. I mean, we don't have the distractions that before. We don't have the boardroom. Some of us don't have the classroom. We don't have the office. And you literally are staring at your colleagues, 2 or 3, 4 or 5 hours a day, sometimes on Zoom. So you're literally cut in half. Some of us are adorned. Some of us are unadorned. When you don't have your makeup on or you don't have your fancy clothes, it really forces us to look at ourselves. And some of us have realized that we have issues with our bodies that we didn't realize that we had before. So this really forces us and it asks us to be kinder to ourselves.
Aisha, I feel like we've heard this term being thrown around on social media, the quarantine 15, where people kind of jokingly or, kind of disparagingly mention the idea that they've gained weight during this pandemic. So what impact is that type of language having on our own body image?
Oh, well, it's fat talk. It's fat phobia. It's clearly not good for our own body image. And it definitely is frustrating and it needs to change. Um, we need to be able to move to a place of self acceptance with our bodies, and we also need to call out people that use that language. And it's also about who you surround yourself with. So if they're say, oh, I've gained the 15, the quarantine 15, then you need to call them out on it, tell them how it makes you feel, and kind of address the language. Because I mean, language is very important. How you talk to yourself is important. How you talk to others, how you talk to your children. Children see and hear everything. So you really want positive self talk. I mean, and it's nothing changes overnight. It takes its time, but it's really important to have positive self talk and to call people out if they're using language that makes you feel uncomfortable.
So let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of that because I agree language is so vitally important. So if you're struggling or you know somebody who is struggling with their body image right now, what are things that we can say to ourselves or to somebody else to support them?
Well, I think the biggest thing to support is, you're right, listening. It is listening and it is speaking and it is giving yourself permission to have ups and downs. We all have great days with our bodies, and sometimes we have bad days with our bodies, and that is okay. It's normal. Body diversity is normal. Ups and downs, but it's really when you begin to listen to your body is when you experience changes. Your body knows when it needs food. Your body knows when it needs a break. Your body knows when it needs sleep. But your body also knows when it needs fun. And I think when we begin to listen
Mhm.
to our body, that's when we can really, really experience some change. And it's literally surrounding yourself with people that make you feel good. Especially during COVID-19, this is a time when you literally are choosing who you interact with. So let's use our choices wisely.
I love that. I mean, I'm going to be totally honest. I think I've gained weight during this pandemic, but oddly, I feel actually really good in my body because there's something about
Mhm.
this pandemic that has made me really put things in perspective. But Aisha, I
Yes.
work in a medium that is often very superficial. And so one day we will go back to work and be in physical proximity with others. So any
Hmm.
tips that you might have for me hanging on to this sense of perspective and newfound sort of confidence in my changing body?
I think, you've hit the nail on the head when you said you're feeling. It's about holding on to that feeling. It's literally holding on to it, trying not to let it go, but know that, at times it might, but literally you need to surround yourself with people that make you feel good. Look at yourself in the mirror. Dance. I dance all the time. My weight goes up and my weight goes down. And it's really about teaching yourself how to accept yourself. Because as you said, society is always teaching us to hate ourselves. So we have to fight back literally by accepting yourself, telling yourself something good every single day. It might sound a little corny, but it helps. It's the small mantras that really can affect larger change.
I mean, I think you're already alluding to it, but it's like you're telling us to seek more joy and happiness when it comes to our bodies. Give us one more tip, Aisha. Dance
Oh
is
my
one.
gosh. Dance is one. Well, I I often do this. Can't believe I'm sharing, but I will look at myself. You look at yourself with clothes and without clothes. It helps.
Uh, that's it. Just stare at yourself.
I think it's about
Love
getting
it.
to know yourself and all of yourself. So there are no surprises. If you don't feel comfortable with yourself, how do you expect somebody else to? Other people to? It's something that
Amen.
you
Amen to
constantly have to
that.
work on.
Hmm. Aisha, such a timely, important conversation now and always, to be quite honest. We really appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We'll be right back after this.